Let's stay in tech for a hot second here. More layoffs are anticipated in the tech sector after the Wall Street Journal reported Facebook parent company Meta is planning large-scale layoffs over the coming days. Executives of the tech giant had told investors last month that they intended to slow down hiring in 2023. Specifically what they had said on the earnings call as well. They talked about the pace of hiring. It slowed in the third quarter. They added 3,700 net new hires. By the way, they have 87,000 total employees. That's their headcount as of the end of last quarter. But they also expect hiring to slow dramatically going forward, to hold head count roughly flat is what they said next year relative to current levels. And in some teams, they had also already signaled where they actually might see some tightening or reductions in those headcount levels.
Yeah, this would, to my recollection, this would be the first time Meta or Facebook has ever had these type of mass layoffs since it was founded. So this is shocking news, but very much indicative of the time. Some numbers I've seen out there, Brad, this morning have Meta looking to trim $3 billion to $4 billion in costs. That would be a huge number for a company like this. And I do wonder, where do these cuts come from? Do they come from the metaverse? Where is this company cutting ultimately to appease Wall Street? Now, along that same thread, you could say this is Meta finally having its awakening moment. They come off of that earnings report, another disappointing one a couple weeks ago, talking to a lot of investors and getting that feedback. So you like to see them taking that feedback. They have to cut expenses.
We were just taking a look at some of the companies as well within tech that have already announced or rolled out some of their cuts as well. And you throw into the mix companies like Peloton, like Netflix, Coinbase, Twitter, the list goes on. And when we think about where this is coming from and why these cuts are continuing to move forward, especially for a company in Meta, and where their sales or their actual expenses rather have increased. It's in the marketing sales. It's in the general and administrative costs that they've seen. For Meta in the last quarter, it was up 15%. That kind of mirrors what even Apple had said in their last quarter, SG&A being up 15%. And so that is something that tech more broadly perhaps is seeing in the rising costs of the employment or of their headcount. And so with that in mind and the kind of mirrored rises of about 15% in those costs, it'd be interesting to see what the correlation in terms of the actual number of employees and in which departments they have to roll back some of the headcount.
Right, and we were just showing too, you see Meta shares up about 3% in the pre-market. The top ticker on the Yahoo Finance platform this morning, really on the optimism that perhaps Meta comes out 3 months from now because of these cuts and actually makes an earnings number or beats street consensus. I would just say this, be hesitant to believe or put your trust into a company like Meta. They have shown over the past year they do not deserve the trust of investors. They have to come out here, cut these expenses, and actually deliver better results at a time where the top line is under a lot of pressure because of what's happening in the ad market.
And because they're going to keep spending aggressively, too, to try and make the metaverse happen as well.
Let this company prove it to you before you go all on here on Meta.